Thanks, John Robert. I want to first of all just say good morning to everyone, and it's great that we can have this in-person and virtual world that we have learned to live in. So I appreciate that option. This morning has been a busy morning, as it is for everybody, I'm sure. So we decided to work with Edmentum first and foremost, really because of the customer service that we received, and appreciate the conversations that we were able to have with you all and being able to really voice what our needs were. And then you worked with us and helped us to figure out how we could meet those needs. So I want to say that up front and say that I appreciate that from you, from all of you. But in Lexington-Richland 5, we are probably a middle-sized district. We have approximately 17,000 students. We have 13 elementary schools, 2 intermediate schools, 3 middle schools, 4 high schools. We do have a virtual program for 1st through 12th grade this year, as well as last year. We have a Center for Technical Studies. We have an Academy for Success, which is our alternative program, and we also have adult education as well. And as far as our Edmentum programs, we utilize this past summer, we went into the foundational skills, which many of you probably had the same concerns that we had. Our teachers were just tired after last year and needed a break, but we also needed instruction for our students. And so as I went to a lunch and learn and heard about the foundational skills program and thought, yep, that's going to help us out. That's exactly what we needed. And so we started talking to Sarika, John Robert, just looking at what the options were and how that might fit our needs. And we looked at our tier 2 students that the state had identified. And those were the students that we targeted for the foundational skills program. So Sarika, I think I'm going to just turn that over to you and let you go from there a little bit about the program and how it was used.
Thank you, Tina. Yes, my name is Sarika Simpson, and I am the Director of Elementary Instruction for Edmentum and Ed Options Academy. And this summer, I also facilitated and led our Foundational Skills Instruction program. It was so great working with Tina and Carol on this and their students, and just how it was going to be a benefit and a help to the group. And so thank you for joining us this summer and allowing us to do some special things with gathering some data around the work your students and kiddos were doing. And I'd love to just share a little bit about what foundational skills instruction is and how it worked for LexRich. So what it is they're 60-minute skills lessons in reading and math, and they're live instruction that are facilitated by our Ed Options Academy certified teachers. So these are teachers that are certified in math and reading at these grade levels, and they are digging in to what those students need, the skill gaps that they may be facing, and filling those gaps. So we use this cycle of learning, this pedagogy that all of you are probably very familiar with, is we first introduce the skill, then we allow the students time to practice the skill, and then we do a short assessment at the end of the lesson to ensure that students mastered the skill. And that's sort of the cycle of learning that students go through within that hour in reading and math. And we use our Exact Path platform to guide us through this. Exact Path is designed to notice what those skill gaps are, provide the instruction for those skill gaps in this lesson cycle. And so what we've learned is when students are really targeted and teachers are really targeting those skill gaps that students have and focusing on one skill at a time, accelerated learning happens. And that's what we saw with LexRich 5. And those 2 links there, and I'm sure that Tina and Carol can share this out, just show you what the domains are that we share or that we go through, what the skills are that are attached to each domain, and this cyclical process that they go through. So the goal is for students to see these skills multiple times, over and over again, so that they really get to interact with that information more than once, because we know repetition helps that to get sticky. And so that's what we did in foundational skills instruction. The next slide is just an overview of what the summer was like for Lex Rich 5 during foundational skills instruction. We had about 3 weeks with the kiddos and we did 2 hours per day. We did 1 hour in reading and we did 1 hour in math, and we had about 350 students participating in the program. When I looked at the skills mastery week over week, how many students are actually mastering the skills that they're tackling each week with these teachers, about 70% of the students were mastering these skills. And that is pretty impressive, I'll say, for your group of students, for any group of students who are in a program and working on these skills for only 3 weeks. So I was pretty excited about that. And we wanted to dig a little deeper with our LexRich 5 students to see, we have a diagnostic within the ExactPath platform that shows where are the students' skill gaps and skill needs at one point in time. Let's see how much instruction we can give them within a certain period of time, and then assess again to see how many students made growth and how much growth was made. So these are the results from that. We assessed the students when they started the program in reading and math. And then we gave them that direct instruction for those 3 weeks, 2 hours a day in reading and math. And then at the end of that 3 weeks, we asked the students to assess again. Now, typically we like for there to be about 60 instructional days between assessments, but we wanted to see if we're really targeted and we're really digging in, what could happen? What kind of growth might we see in this very, very short period of time? And in reading, 78% of those students who were in the program made growth from the assessment they took at the beginning of the session till the end. And in math, 63% of those students made growth. So we were pretty excited about seeing some of that growth with only 3 weeks of direct instruction, 4 days a week. And so what are some of the things that people say? We asked some of the families to give us some feedback. What did you think about the program? And about 95% of the families would recommend this to other families. So they appreciated the work that was being done. Families said that the lessons were interactive and it was a great option, that they were small groups. They were giving up their summer hours. They felt like they cared about their success. They appreciated the opportunity. It was engaging, and they appreciated the time and the effort that the teachers put into making the lessons understandable for the kids. So overall, I'll say foundational skills instruction was a success for LexRich 5. I hope Tina and Carol feel the same way about that, and hope to see the students in the program again.
Great, thank you, Sarika. Sarika, it looks like we had a question pop up in the chat for you. What did you say?
It was asked.
So was the
I can
foundational skills
answer that.
instruction? Okay, go ahead.
I can answer that.
Okay.
So this was in addition to our summer reading camp. So our summer reading camp this summer addressed our 3rd grade students, but we also had some 3rd grade students that were a part of this program as well. So these students were grades 1 through 8 that participated. And again, there were the tier 2 students is who it was offered to. We had families who opted in, some because of vacation time, a short summer, things like that, did not opt to do it, but we did have about 350 of our students that did opt to participate. And it was in addition to the summer reading camp.
There's a lot of flexibility within this model. I'll tell you, for my own son who participated in the summer, he only did math. So he did an hour of math 4 days a week and did not participate in reading foundational skills instruction. So that's an option. Also, we have some students who may do Monday and Wednesday an hour of reading, and then Tuesday and Thursday an hour of math, because they only have an hour to allocate to the program. So there is some flexibility around how you utilize it. We allot an hour for the lessons. They don't always take a full hour. It really depends on the length of that lesson, how long it takes students to go through practicing, and how long it takes students to go through the assessment. So we allot the hour. Sometimes students finish up in about 30 to 45 minutes, but the teacher is available to support for that full hour. Yes, so they're all sweet spots. That's the beauty of it, that it is really designed per grade level, per content area, based on skill gaps, because we've done the research and we have determined what are the skill gaps that students across the country typically have when they're not being successful on their state assessments. And that's what we're focusing in on. So if you have a high school student, we really have K through high school. And so the grade levels are broken down by grade level through 8th grade. And once we get through 9 to the 9th through 12th grade, it's just high school, because we've learned that mostly those students who are having some skill gaps are really struggling in algebra. And that's the focus of those math lessons and those skill gap lessons for those high school students. And the same is true in English, or in our reading lessons. We're really focusing on those skill gaps that most high school students 9 through 12 struggle with when they're not successful on their state assessments. So any grade level is a sweet spot. By the time we get to high school, it's not divvied out by content area, or sorry, by exact course. It's divvied out by math and reading, focusing in on those most prevalent skill gaps for high school students in those areas.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rika.
Any other questions about foundational skills? In person or online? All right, this is perfect timing. I see that Lisa has gotten her class back to the classroom. They picked up their lunch. There we go. I'm Carol Lunsford. I'm our district coordinator for instructional technology. I just want to give you a quick look back of how we got to where we are today. Several years ago, John Robert reached out to our district and said, "Hey, I'm a District 5 alum. Come talk, let me talk to you." And he got us foot in the door. We know how tricky it is to do that. We have so many vendors that reach out to us. So, John Robert, I'm grateful for your persistence to get it to District 5 and for coming back home. Next year, we started a pilot because we still weren't quite sure we wanted to put both feet into the exact path basket. So he gave us the opportunity to test this out to see if it's something that we wanted to pursue and move forward with. In the end, we decided that we did, and we started that full implementation the next year, that it was a good fit for our students and our teachers. Our first consultant was Mr. Eddie Krause, who came and spent a lot of time with us in District 5. As a testament to what Tina said at the beginning, the customer support has been phenomenal. Anytime we've had a need, whether it's troubleshooting on the back end that we had yesterday, to coming to in-person or virtual professional development, they have absolutely said, if I can't be there, someone from our team will be. So thank you for that. I did tease Eddie earlier that in the 3 years that we've been with Exact Path, we've had 3 different consultants and promoting them. So I feel like maybe District 5 needs a kickback. So we'll be looking for that. But we are using Exact Path in grades kindergarten through 5th grade. We're using it in our elementary schools to meet those math and reading needs. Some of our classrooms are using that language arts component, but they really focus on that math and reading. When we started our implementation, going back to what Darlington was speaking about earlier, that implementation and making sure that we've got that coaching support, that administrator buy-in, and having all of those support structures in place, we really started off very, very strong. Eddie came and he spent weeks with us as we went to every single site. At the time that was 12 sites, so we do have a new school, we probably need to get them on board. Yep. Where we sat down with each grade level, and throughout an entire day, we did a training with a group of 5 to 6 teachers, depending on the size of that grade level, and make sure they understood the purpose of Exact Path, how it should be used in their classrooms, and the support that they had from their school's digital integration specialists to keep that momentum going. I will admit that that's waned as the pandemic hit last year. I left to go be the administrator for our virtual program. We were all stretched pretty thin as we tried to make sure that we were going in the right direction. So we do need to get our feet back in that and make sure that we have that administrative support. So kudos, who was our first presenter this morning? Kershaw. You're absolutely right. You've got to make sure that those teachers, I was so impressed by your elementary principal. She is all in, and it shows, and it's reflected in the language from her students, the language from her teachers. So I do think that's an area of growth for us in District 5, is to get that momentum back and going to make sure that we're using this with fidelity. Having programs gifted to us by the state.
Lisa says it's hard to hear.
Oh, it's hard to hear me, Lisa. Is that any better?
Yeah, hold on closer. There you go.
I'm not used to talking into a microphone. I'm used to wearing a headset and sitting on the screen, right? Lisa, is that any better? Can you give me a thumbs up? Awesome. All right. So that training really took off. We continued that training by meeting with our elementary digital integration specialists. We have one of those in every 3 elementary schools, as well as our computer lab managers. And we do have one of those in each school. So making sure that they were comfortable with the implementation. Our computer lab managers helped to ensure that our students were getting some time on Exact Path each week in addition to what was happening in the classroom. And what we've continued into this year, this is where there's beauty and choice, but you also, it's not a mandate. So we offer D5 Choice PD. So on the first Tuesday of every month, we have instructional technology and professional development where teachers decide what sessions they want to go to. And so we continue to offer one on the exact path, so they can do again to, and then sending that consultant to help and lead that session. And the attendance to that varies. We have lots of different sessions that are offered in one of those choices. So I do have with us today two phenomenal teachers. One of them was actually featured by Edmentum last year. Her name is Angela Weasley. She is the computer lab manager at Valentine Elementary School. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Angela to share with us how she has implemented the exact path in her computer lab. Angela?
Good morning from Valentine Elementary School. I hope y'all are all doing well. So Valentine was part of the pilot program in 2019 and 20. Kind of got our feet wet. Then when we came back last year, our focus really school-wide was to get those students in Edmentum, see the benefit, and boy, did we. We really did. So we had a little contest. I scream, you scream, we all scream Edmentum. Our end prize was ice cream. Who doesn't love some ice cream? And what you're seeing on the screen are little circles. So each class had a double scoop ice cream cone. I kept track of their math activities and their reading activities. And they got a circle for every 20 activities that they completed. Well, you can see they were very competitive. I honestly thought 4th and 5th grade would blow it out of the water, but my 2nd grade flew in and did phenomenal. In the end, they were all winners. I'll have to say I had one 2nd grader who did 298 activities. He mastered 49 skills and did not master only 9 skills. So that was huge. I also have students who don't necessarily seek attention in the most positive ways, but during this contest, it was amazing how they rose to the challenge. They completed far more. They actually completed 20 activities on their own in a week. So I created a Super Scooper Award for those students who took it upon themselves to basically earn a whole scoop in a week's worth of time. And those were flying out. They did a phenomenal job. So we look forward to, I've been polling my students this year so far, and they kind of still want to do ice cream. I was ready to go for a snack palooza, but they want to do ice cream again. So we may do that. I will say not only with the students winning and learning, the teachers got on board. When they saw how excited their students were about completing activities and their little ice cream scoops going up the wall, the teachers were on board. So they've already, day one, the teacher's like, let's get in Edmentum. Let's get in Edmentum. So.
I love it. Thank you, Angela. It is amazing how competitive teachers can be, and none of them like to lose. So, Angela, thank you for sparking that excitement at Valentine and keeping that growing. Our next teacher that is with us is Lisa Noche. Lisa is a former elementary digital integration specialist who volunteered this year to go into the 4th grade classroom where we had a So I gave her a hard time. I was devastated that she was leaving our team, but that she would now be our model classroom and that we would be using her. And within a week, I called her and said, Lisa, I need to come into your classroom. So Lisa, thank you for being with us today. With HE Quarterly leaders, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, perfect. So yes, I'm Lisa Noche, and I'm here at HE Corley, and my kiddos are eating lunch. You can go ahead and wave, 4th graders. They're waving back. All right, so last year, just to get some momentum going, we did do a trophy challenge. So we kind of based it on whichever grade level in a 2-week period could get the most trophies. On the top right, you see a little image. That's just how I tracked it each week. So total number of trophies, you can see at the bottom graph when we started, or this is just one example, you can see the blue is that first week and looking at the red that second week. So definitely got kids excited and teachers interested. We advertised it on the news show, so I would give updates on the news show just to keep the momentum going. And the winners were announced on the morning news show, and we celebrated with some popsicles. So they were really excited about that. If you guys have access to the slide deck, I put a forced copy of the tracker that I use, just an easy way to keep up with it as a school. If you want to go ahead to the next slide, this is going to focus on this school year. So I am in a 4th grade classroom. I have 17 students. We have a work plan. So every week I develop the work plan. It's all our subjects, but one of our first things is our learning path. So they're expected 15 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday to do math, and 15 minutes on Monday, Wednesday to do ELA to get that 30-minute chunk of time in. I've started the challenges. You can see this is just a quick view from last night. We started this on Monday, so it's 4 days in now, and we already have 9 kiddos that have mastered that 30 minutes for reading, and 7 of my kiddos for math. So we'll check it tomorrow. They get to go to the treasure chest. So they're really excited about that. The cool thing about the work plan, it kind of holds them accountable. If you notice the check marks, I have them color coded. So the red is things they do on Monday, orange, yellow, green, and that blue. So they move them over, holds them accountable. And this is just in a Google slide, and I'm able to send them comments every night when I check this, and they communicate back with me. So we're doing the weekly challenges. We started our trophy challenge for our class this week. I do have a couple that have reached their trophy challenge. And coming soon, I'm going to steal what Angela did over at Valentine and do the ice cream challenge.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa and Angela. Pretty exciting things happening in both the computer lab at Valentine and in that 4th grade classroom at HE Corley. I've already seen Lisa's skills spreading to her colleagues, and I know that will continue to grow from the group. So thank you both for your time.
Carol, can you do, Carol?
So elementary is so exciting, and then there's secondary, and I feel like I'm gonna be the boring ending of the day, but I'm very excited about the products. So I am Amy Taylor. I'm the coordinator of mathematics for the district. While I primarily serve grades 6 through 12, I am the coordinator for K-12. So I heard some interesting comments earlier about, we've got Greenbox, we've got this, and I do want to reiterate what that First Lady from Kershaw said. It takes a vision to see which products to use and use those products with fidelity and have the training and support to back it. So Lexington-Richland 5 has partnered with Apex since 2008. It's been a long time since we've had this product. And I've been was a teacher at Chapin High School during that time and used it as a teacher before transitioning to being the coordinator of mathematics. One of the reasons why we in this district were so willing to stick with Apex is because it provides a rigorous secondary curriculum. That is one of the strongest points for us is that the rigor is there in the curriculum. And not only that, we have the course content, but we also have the tutorials to help supplement the courses. And the tutorials themselves provide a different level of data. That is standards-based data, more so than the courses, which is driving you through the primary instruction. They're student-friendly, and honestly, the tutorials don't require a teacher, unlike the course material with the locking and unlocking of tasks. They don't require a teacher. So we've used those in different ways, for support or for content. This year, we have been rolling out some of the test prep tutorials. We created flyers last summer, and also we have our college and career specialists who have these as self-enrolling tutorials to help support ACT, SAT, AccuPlacer, Even our end of course assessments, that's something they can do on their own. And like I said, doesn't require a teacher, but by having the teacher, we can track the data. So we put our college and career specialists as teachers in the platform so that they can track the usage of those and help to guide those IGP and college and career conversations, especially when thinking about the fact that we have bubble kids that just miss life scholarship, just miss how many fellows, you're so close, and to have that extra support for that test that is included with our program. So we just changed. For years, we had like 500 seats, and we used it primarily as a solution to proficiency-based and earning those Carnegie credits to facilitate on-time graduation. So we limited ourselves. It was used primarily at our Academy for Success, which is our alternative school in adult education, and for the credit recovery, summer school programs, initial credit, those very special items. But we decided, pandemic changes a lot of things. We decided to go full out implementation 6 through 12. And we use those courses. They are rostered. One thing I would like for development, here's my plug, is I would like for the integration to be a little easier. With that, we use SFTP, do the save file transfer, whatever that is, to be able to integrate through Clever to get our single sign-on access. We can give them counts where they can go into the Apex website, but for safety and all of that, why we end up wanting to go with single sign-on. Now, once we got it working, thank you to the support and the developers that have helped us, we've been able to get that now seamlessly, and we update it each week. It's not as, it's not like a lot of Clever applications that will update overnight, but we're getting it. We're having to work with that. So that is one thing I would love to have an improvement, because I love the curriculum itself. So this year, in the past, we've thought about e-learning, distance learning, any kind of asynchronous, or even to supplement the courses. So and I think you might have mentioned this to Lawrence, it goes through PowerSchool. So when they pull up their Apex, they see 1A, Algebra 1, what is rostered through their PowerSchool. So they see their class. And the teacher can rename that if they want to make it a little easier, but it's rostered to all the courses where the supplemental instruction to take place. And this year, we have found it helpful for quarantine students, because our teachers were spending a tremendous amount of time creating screencastify lessons to roll out. So they're like doubling their work. And we started saying, well, why don't you go to the unit? And so for the math, I created a spreadsheet that connects the chapters in our book with the units in Apex so they can see the correlation. So they go into, let's say they're in big ideas, geometry, and they know that correlates to unit 1 or 2 in the geometry Apex. They can assign that, and therefore they're getting the instruction and they're getting the feedback, because when they go through the studies and the reviews and the quizzes, they can get that independently and asynchronously while they're in quarantine, and it eases the load for our teachers, much like the courseware would do. We also have done a little more with the tutorials to help support some of the gaps in the learning. One of the things I like about the tutorials too is that it will go back to some supporting topics. So if they're not on that level, then it'll take them back to some of the supporting topics that might be below grade level. We also, because you have full access of the platform, I had a special ed teacher that said, I've got a kid, they're really like on the 3rd grade math level. I said, that's fine, I can add classroom with math foundations 1, and then it gives them the 3rd through 5th grade. Or math foundations 2, it'll give them the 6th grade. So I think that it's limitless in terms of the curriculum if you know how to use it and add those classrooms as you need. So I've heard this already today, and I will tell you the keys to success and what I think has created a successful multi-year use of us with Apex in our secondary schools, and that's having the vision. So when we started using it, we decided, okay, what do we need to do? What board policies do we need to align with UGP? and define programs. You gotta have your seat time, you gotta have all those things. Then we created a detailed online procedure manual. And it takes into account every one of those things, whether it's retake, initial credit, credit recovery, content recovery, remediation, home-based, homebound. So every one of those has a section within, much like Clover talked about there, they have an outline. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And they know exactly. And that way, we make sure that we're meeting the policies by carrying out the procedure. We also have developed 2 different Google sites. I have one Google site that is really for initial credit, content recovery, credit recovery, but it links to a Google site for the supplemental resources. So if a teacher wants to see a course outline or an alignment or have a help video, or how does my kid use this and log in through Clever? Thanks also to Carol, we have a digital integration specialist who is kind of like the key contact person for our tech DISs, at our schools. And so she has developed a lot of videos and helps. But that doesn't say that I don't have 2 wonderful implementation success managers with Apex. Adele Terry was with me, and then all of a sudden they promoted her. What is this about promoting, right? Promoting. And, you form a relationship with these people. You have their cell phone numbers. I text them, I need this, I can't figure this out. And for a while, I had Kimberly on speed dial trying to figure out where we're going to go with that options or ALPS with some of our solutions, which now we're going to have that kind of stuff combined. But having the support and what we did, and Adele, now Kristen Wood is my support person for Apex. We have an Apex site coordinator at each school. We train them, they're the lead person at the school, so teachers come to that person before it comes to me. Imagine 17, or whatever, how many students we have, if you take even the number, hundreds of teachers, if I'm getting all those emails, I can't even imagine. I get enough as it is because some of them still come directly to me. Oh, I need this student added, or they're getting an error message, and I'll tell you, I wish I had an auto reply. Clear your cookies and cache, and go back in, exit, and go back in the program. It's not an Edmentum or an Apex problem. Most times it's a user error when it comes to that. So Choice PD has been great. I can even contact Kristen and say, I got a new teacher, they need some training. She'll do one-on-one right there on the spot. We set up a Google Meet. So I can't say enough about the support and the help that we get. I do a lot of training. I just had social studies wants to know about the U.S. history tutorials at Fort High School. So next Wednesday, I'll be going out and doing my own training. So we provide professional development. Sometimes that's just easier to go out with a small group of teachers, but that doesn't take away the fact that the support we have for the program is also amazing. So that's pretty much what I have to share. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm curious to spark my interest about the quarantine students. So are your traditional face-to-face
Teachers utilizing Apex for their instructional delivery in the traditional setting, so that there's not a gap. For example, like Lawrence described, we're that seamless transition, whether they move into quarantine, whether they move into virtual, alternative ed, it's the same curriculum,
Right, that's a good question, and it is, but it's not. Okay, let me show you why I say that. Everyone is rostered, so they know from the beginning of the year. I tell teachers, get them on Apex, make sure they understand how to use the program for when this is going to happen, or not the if, when it's going to happen. However, what I say that's not the primary. So they have their textbooks. It's their supplement. Now, we have content recovery. Every 9 weeks, if you have students in Carnegie-bearing courses that are not passing, you offer content recovery. And so the Apex is where they get that content recovery. So they use that to or some teachers, I've got some that say, I want them to do this. Or you can go in and build an activity. They'll use that content to teach that lesson asynchronously or in a small group. I've got Crossroads Intermediate. They're starting to use it in their small group instruction. That's one of your stations. You're over there doing Apex. So it's just so different. It's kind of like whatever the teacher needs to use it for. I know what you're saying, though. You don't want them to, oh, by the way, on quarantine, go to Apex, and they've never seen it. They don't know how to use the platform.
Or with anyone.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
exactly. So then they're in that situation.
Right.
Do they have, familiarity and a knowledge base to flip the switch?
And I think the biggest struggle, I love that Clover talked about those struggles, is we have to get them on whatever platform, you're right, get them on it, knowing how to navigate and how to use it, because otherwise it becomes a reactive point.
Right.
When last year, when we had some people going out in quarantine and never turned on the program, they go in there and say, well, I'm missing these 5 kids. And I'm like, how are you missing those 5 kids? You didn't check this at the beginning of the year. So we've got to get buy-in top down. We've got to get buy-in. You have to make sure that it is a priority, whatever product you use. It's got to be a priority.
So with that, the second part of that question, yeah, and
What was that? I said all of that.
I was saying for my school system.
Yeah. If we were in church, you might be saying amen.
so the piece there that I think too, with teacher shortages across South Carolina, across the country, how you speak to how Lexington-Richland is doing with utilizing Apex, courseware, Edmentum, to supplement with those gaps. Meaning, do you guys allow your administrators, principals, the autonomy to say, John, Robert, Eddie, we don't have said teacher for this block. Can you go, can I take that virtual? Or can I speak to that?
I forgot to mention, they're probably on my slides, but I'm the worst about presentations. I'll make a slide and then I just start talking. I don't even refer to them after I make them. We have in each high school what we call credit recovery study halls in math, science, ELA, math, social studies, the 4 core contents. And it is a teacher, content teacher, because one of the things we found out is you can't replace a teacher. I mean, they need that support. Because students will skip that video and go straight to the quiz instead of actually trying the video to teach the content. So we need a teacher. And those study halls, we handle the special cases. I've got a student, they came from a 4x4, we're on AD. Oh goodness, what am I gonna do? Well, I've got that math class, we can use Apex initial credit, put them in there, but the teacher's there to help support that and to help keep them on track. You've got to track these kids. And I love the all enrollments view, which is kind of what you were showing. I can track my kids. And I was an Apex credit recovery study hall. That's what we call it. It's basically dedicating a block to each of the 4 core with a teacher in there that can span. And, when I taught math, I taught everything but calculus. So I was very well versed in all math versus somebody going there, oh, I'm not freak out. What do you mean? You don't know. So I was very well versed in all of them. They put me in there. And I would have maybe 12 kids by January in 12 different content areas, but that's okay. They've got the content's there, you're just to support it. Come in, what are you gonna do today? What's your goal today? I think that's with every product that you use, but I think that's how we handle some of those special cases. Now, I don't wanna throw another company name, but there's another company this year that was used to, as I call it, the HR backup plan, which was outsourced for some of our 5 when we couldn't find them out. 5 is our flexible, innovative virtual education. That's our online school. And we were down a math 7 teacher. We couldn't find one. And they decided, I say they, because I'm supposed to say love this. I love this. They happened to this time they is human resources. They decided, hey, I can take that $35,000, $40,000 and now I'm going to outsource this because they wanted live instruction. Okay, it wasn't at options. They went through Now, I didn't make that choice, but I am now worried, I can't see what those kids are doing. What are they doing? Well, how are they doing? They're gonna be on our SC ready scores. That is my biggest concern. Oh, they're coming in they're on our data. So anyway, but we don't have a physical person. That has become a huge issue in our schools, but we can handle the small cases. If I'm the person, the initial credit requests have to come through me. I have to check to make sure it's appropriate placement. Guidance counselors do that at the school, school counselors, they do that, but I'm kind of the final sign because that's coming down to, does it meet uniform grading? Is it going to be a credit bearing class? Somebody has to have the final sign on it. So while I'm the math coordinator, I probably spend 25% of my time helping to manage Apex 612. And you have to have someone in your district, in your schools that helps us manage that. Y'all are great, I'm not saying that, thousands of students.